It has been over 150 years since man first set foot on Mars. Due to the grief, loneliness, and hard work we have endured, we have finally turned Mars into a new promised land that everyone dreams of. But how did we get there? While Mars may not be a real place, these are questions that people are asking and will continue to ask. If you were to travel to Mars, how would you find clean water and air? How would you make Mars self-sufficient? And what is the average price for a trip to Mars? By the early 1960s, the idea to colonize Mars had already been around for a while. The idea was initially met with intense opposition, but these days it seems like it's far more likely than ever before. Elon Musk has promised that 1 million people will be living on Mars within 100 years. The day-night cycle of this planet is similar to that of Earth, and there are enough CO2 for plants to use for photosynthesis. Mars has 38% of Earth's gravity, which would be the closest environment your body would be used to after spending days on Earth. The average July temperature on Mars is -55 degrees Fahrenheit. However, you will need to pack as many layers as possible because Mars gets 44% as many hours of sunlight as Earth. We all know that Mars is one of the most challenging destinations for humans to explore, but the thought of being the first person on Mars was something to get behind. So you packed up and got yourself a job as a first base manager on Mars. And not just any job. You would be responsible for landing your first base crew and making Mars feel like home. What milestones will you see over the course of 100 years? Year 1. You made it. You've been selected for your next exciting journey, an interplanetary voyage to the outer reaches of the solar system. But before you board the shuttle, you'll need to do a lot of training and work with top-notch doctors and scientists. You may even have to work for a long time before getting a seat on the ship. You would land in the surroundings of Jezero Crater. This is where the Perseverance rover touched down in 2021 to conduct inspections of the territory before your arrival. You would be doing some research and reporting back to Earth. The connection wouldn't be great, but you would only have to wait up to 22 minutes for communication signals to get to Earth. Eventually, you would witness the first cargo ships arriving with supplies. Year 5. A few years after you arrived, the first batch of settlers would appear. Everything they needed would have been ferried from Earth, and it would have cost hundreds of millions of dollars to feed each person. However, this was much cheaper than building a new colony or station from scratch, and much more efficient in terms of time and money spent. The settlement would need to be able to produce its own water, so the first step would be to mine ice near the base and transport it. This process could take quite a while, so you'd need to figure out how you can produce the needed amount of water in a shorter amount of time. Year 20. A human base will be set up on Mars. This first base will be named Mars Base Alpha, and it will be the first of many. You and 170 other astronauts will live there in a colony that is taking care of itself by having robots in charge of initial prospecting and construction. It would no longer take 20 minutes to receive communication signals from Earth with the introduction of 2 constellations of Starlink satellites orbiting Mars. With multiple satellites working in tandem, your settlement would see a significant speed-up in the time it takes to receive signals. More people would arrive from Earth. Another base would be underway. And finally, the very first child would be born on Mars. But could this Martian child ever visit Earth? The bones and organs of these children are meant to withstand the gravity of Mars. But what about Earth's gravity? It is not known yet if these children could visit Earth for a brief time before returning to their planet, but it is likely that they will. Year 40. Mars Base Alpha would become a full-fledged settlement. You would see many more firsts. The first school, the first cultured meat farm, and even the first luxury hotel. Public transport would connect Base Alpha to mining sites. Every few years, ships would arrive, each carrying 100 passengers before continuing on for a new destination. The settlement would begin building its first dome city. It would be a 1.6 km, 1 mi wide impact crater covered by a transparent, radiation filtering dome. It would need Earth-like pressure and temperatures so the settlers could finally take off their spacesuits as they finally enter Earth's atmosphere. Year 60. With the advancement of technology on Earth, the population of Mars has grown to 200,000. Advanced medical technology would allow life expectancy to increase, which could lead to your ability to finally visit Earth with your friends. It would be very difficult for those born on Mars. They would need to use exoskeletons that help them survive the gravity of Earth. Wealthy people from Earth would come to Mars on vacation and bring with them luxury goods such as silk and diamonds, which may be hard for the residents of Mars to get a hold of without using these instruments. If plans for a permanent artificial magnetic field generator on Mars are successful, it would protect the Martian atmosphere from space radiation and would allow for the development of at least 5 dome cities. The largest among them, Mars City, would be home to 60,000 people. Soon after its inception, the first elected city council would take office, and the first university would open its doors. Year 100. If 1 million people signed up to live on Mars in 2046, each person would be given space in a metallic dome in order to terraform the planet. The greenhouse gases released by the settlers would cause the temperature to increase and make it habitable for human beings. You would accelerate the process by establishing fish farms and releasing cyanobacteria that would start photosynthesis. After a century of Martian independence, the Martians might find it hard to be controlled by Earthling administrators. It would be hard for them to relinquish control of Mars Base Alpha because the city would hold such a prominent place in their history. And hyperloops and suborbital shuttles would connect the major Martian cities.